Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Mom Never Taught Me podcast. I'm Bretia. This has been a long-awaited journey, but it's finally here. This is the first ever official episode of the podcast, and I'm so excited. It has been a long-awaited journey and process, and I'm so excited to finally share it with you all. I had the idea to originally start this podcast in December of last year, so December 2021. I don't know, during that time, or like maybe even the end of November, I feel as though I had so many creative juices flowing, and I didn't quite know what to do first, what to do next, where to start. And starting a podcast is one of the things that's been on my list for the last year, I would say. And when I was thinking about how to have like a creative form of expression and something cool that I could have to call my own as an outlet away from everything else that's going on in my life, starting this podcast was crazy enough. The first thing that I was like, yeah, no, you should just do that. And I've spent the last 4 months kind of going back and forth with the idea and talking myself out of it and then talking myself back into it. Not necessarily because of self-doubt or anything, predominantly because I'm an overthinker and I feel the need to have everything planned out. I want it to be as perfect as possible. I want it to be the best. And every time I recorded an episode, it just sounded so robotic and not natural and scripted, and I just felt like it didn't accurately set the tone for what I want this podcast to be about. So I feel like I'm finally in this great headspace, emotionally, mentally, physically, where I have this boost of energy and excitement towards the podcast again. And I just felt like it was the perfect time to release. So I did release the trailer a few months ago. I don't know if I said that already, but just in case you missed it, I really want this podcast to be like an open dialogue to emphasize that you don't have to have it all figured out at a specific time or at a specific stage in your life, that growth is evolutionary and that you're always going to be growing and changing. And what's working for you now or what's not working for you now could work for you later, vice versa. I just want to normalize that it's okay to not have all the answers for your life. And it's okay to be curious. It's okay to start something and change your mind. It's okay to start something and divert, because that's a part of life. That's a part of evolution. That's a part of growth and experience, and I feel as though there's so many joys associated with those experiences. And the second part, I would say selfishly, that I thought would be really cool and interesting would be to have conversations with people that are doing great things. Like, I really want to highlight the people in my life. I want to highlight the relationships in my life. I want to highlight maybe career paths or opinions or concepts that differ from my own, or oh my god, I say or all the time, or that are inspiring. While I was thinking about what this podcast was going to be about, I was in this phase of writing down all the things that I wanted to do or knew more about, or things that I was curious about maybe 10 years ago or 5 years ago that I never pursued. And I just felt like I was hit with all this information last year that I knew nothing about. And I felt, oh my God, how great would it be to have a resource where I can have conversations with people that are in my age bracket, that have a better understanding of crypto or traveling abroad or creating their own fashion line, starting your own business, being an entrepreneur, owning a house before 30. I just want to create a space where there are people that are doing things that you might want to do or you might deem interesting, And I feel as though sometimes it's so great to have someone lead by example, like having someone to look up to, having someone explain the process better. And disclaimer, okay, so I have a wonderful mother who's taught me so much in life, and in so many ways she has inspired me and encouraged me to experiment with things and explore. But the title was inspired by a realization that I had a while back. That although I'm fortunate enough to have parents who offer great advice and guide me, that the world that we live in today is so different than the world that they lived in 30 years ago, right? And the experiences and opportunities that they had at my age and vice versa, in more ways than one, are astronomically different. And with the world changing so much, I realized that there's only so much that I can learn from my parents. There are things that I would have to be the first to experience or learn by myself. Or there have been things that I've done that my parents haven't done. And I'm fortunate enough to know that I have them around to share their advice and life lessons, but I will still have to seek outside help or research various things for myself. So I started this journey of self-exploration this year and discovery through the means of looking back on my life and looking at all the great things that I've accomplished and all of the experiences that I've had and all the lessons that I've learned. And, maybe someone can learn something, someone can resonate with what I'm saying, maybe someone feels the same way that I feel. And there are other people out there who've had different experiences and different journeys figuring out their self-identity and their business and their lifestyle. So essentially, I just want this podcast to encourage an open and raw conversation for those who are trying to figure out their life, no matter how old you are, no matter where you are in the world, because as a 27-year-old, I have officially entered this phase in my life where I'm no longer holding myself back and I'm not going to get in my own way. I left that in 2021. I let go of old habits that didn't serve me, and I've incorporated a lot of really good habits, and I'm seeing a lot of change in myself because of it. And I'm in this phase where saying I don't know or I don't understand or I could never is just not going to cut it anymore. If I don't know something, I've decided that from now on, my phrase is going to be, well, I'm just going to figure it out. I'm going to experience it. I'm going to try. I'm going to learn. I'm going to seek out this knowledge, this experience. I'm not going to hold myself back anymore. And I kind of took off the pressure that I placed on myself subconsciously, where I realized that I'm not expected to know everything or know how to do everything. I want to be more open to embracing life and the lessons that come along with it. I want to live and learn. You know that phrase, live and learn? I want to live and learn. I'm not scared of failure anymore. I'm not going to let fear hold me back. I want to figure out what makes me happy, what makes me sad. How can I make this life more fun? How do I make this experience more enjoyable while I'm here, And that boils down to the people that I interact with, the hopes and dreams that I have, the things that I pursue, the countries that I visit, the food that I eat, the quality time that I have with my family and my friends. That life is too short for me to place limitations on myself, whether they are intentional or not, because I just can't continue to live life in regret, or I wish I could have, or I wish I did. I'm doing it. It's starting, it's happening, here we are. But yeah, I just really needed to sit down with myself and figure out who I want to become. And I'm taking away the pressure of expectations and disappointment, and I'm using that all as stepping stones for who I will become. Because for a long time, I felt as though at every age that I've been, since I was 20, that I should have already made certain mistakes, or I should have already had peaked experiences, or I should have already accomplished certain things. And that's not true. Those are lies that I've told myself. Those are unnecessary judgments and opinions that I've casted on myself to overshadow all of the great things that I've already done, all the great things that I will do. And I just know that I'm not the only person that's going through that. I know that there are people who have figured out what they want out of life. They've already started molding and spending time figuring those things out, and good for them, great for them. But that's not the case for everyone. And if you don't know what it is that you want to do in life yet, I hope that these conversations will be insightful and enlightening and helpful to some degree in your life. If not career, maybe relationships, maybe your own self-development. Maybe it'll encourage you to take a leap to do something that you were always scared to do, whether that is to travel or move somewhere where you don't know anyone, or stand up for what you believe in, what you want to do in life. You're not alone, and you don't have to have all the answers, and hopefully you can take life by the horns and do what you gotta do. Follow your passions, follow your dreams. If you're interested in learning about something, go and seek out that knowledge. There's so many resources that are available right now, and I just want to encourage you to do that. So I'm so excited to start this journey with you all. I have a lot of exciting things in store, some solo episodes, and I have a handful of people that I've already asked to be on the podcast so we can have some interesting conversations there. If you've enjoyed this podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would like, rate, review the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. As of right now, it's only on Spotify. I'm still working on Apple and Anchor. It's on Anchor. And I'm trying to figure out the whole Google podcast thing. So, also, if you'd like to stay up to date on the show, or you have any topics that you'd like to recommend, feel free to head over to Instagram. The handle for the podcast is MNTM, so the first letters of Mom Never Taught Me podcast. So MNTM podcast on Instagram. And I hope you guys have a great week. I'm still dabbling in figuring out if Tuesdays or Thursdays work best for posting, but it'll be one of those 2 days every week. Love you guys. Thank you for listening. Bye.